Central Bank of Nigeria Godwin Emefiele insisted that the move is not targeted at anyone. Rather, he said the redesigned note would give the Apex Bank ample control over the amount of money in circulation. Now, as part of efforts to ensure free, fair, and credible elections in 2023, civil rights organizations has continued to intensify efforts in training Nigerian citizens. Tstv Foundation is taking the lead in Kaduna State with training of over 20,000 persons in 4 local government areas. Speaking at the awareness training in Jaba, the program officer of Tstv Foundation, Christopher Abe, emphasized on the necessity of the program.
Their elected representatives, if they fail to fulfill their obligations, and anybody that sells his rights for a packet of Maggi or salt or 1,000 naira does not have the moral authority to confront any elected representative that fails to fulfill his promise.
The participants laud the efforts as it addresses the core of voters' challenges.
Our mistake, so that from this awareness, in fact, we are going to do more than expected.
Recall that INEC has slated February 25th, 2023 for the presidential and National Assembly elections, while the governorship and state assembly election will hold on March 11th, 2023.
And not sincerity into their understanding.
It's a very good effort to educate people on how to make their votes being counted. Is a very good one to the society.
Now, the Borno State ASU chapter on Tuesday demanded for the sack of Minister of Labour Chris Ngige over the federal government's policy of no work, no pay. The union walked around the University of Maiduguri campus to protest half-paid salaries and outstanding payment. Viewer TV's correspondent Beatrice Chrissy completes this report.
The planned declaration to embark on a one-day protest began when a memo circulated on campus to halt Tuesday's examination of students to serve as a warning signal over the outstanding 8-month salaries and half payment of October. This instigated a briefing at the ASU Secretariat, where it converged on a protest march around the premises of the tertiary institution. The union and some students in their numbers carrying placards declared an inconclusive academic session for the semester and called for the sacking of the Minister of Labour and Productivity, Dr. Chris Ngige.
And as such, that minister has to go. The minister has to go. We are saying that the minister has to go. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever.
They also took their march to the Muhammadu Buhari Senate building to lodge their grievances to the school management.
IPC is proud, we all know. We gave them UTAS and they declined. You know why? Because UTAS will block the corruption.
Back at the ASU Secretariat, the union said it wants the federal government to meet their demands, and failure to comply, ASU Borno's chapter is ready to obey its NEC decision if it will embark on another strike. It further revealed that it will not release results of students who are already writing examinations.
There will be no competition of academic status by coordinators of parts 1 to 4 to 5 or to 6, as the case may be. Current final year students will not be graduated, as departmental and faculty boards and the University Senate will never consider the results of the session in dispute.
To avoid further academic distortions in the public universities, the federal government should pay the withheld salaries for the work currently being concluded by ASU members to make up for the time lost during the strike.
But the way government has taken it is not acceptable to anybody, because we are all Nigerians and we know that these students, they belong to us. It is us and the students. So anything you do to academic, you are destroying the university.
And now to deny us 8 months salary because we are on strike, while other unions have been on strike for 10 months and they are receiving their salary. This is a gross act of injustice. It's a gross act of injustice. 2, to single out other parts of the union that have been on strike with us for almost 7 months and to register them in the 8th month, and now say you are paying them their 8 months salary. I think it's another act of injustice.
The union is demanding for implementation of renegotiation of 2009 agreement, improved welfare of lecturers, release of revitalization funds, and deployment of the OTAS payment system for payment of salaries and allowances of university lecturers, among others. Bitrus Kuruti, Viewer Television News, Maiduguri.
Now, the 1997 class of the Accounting Department of the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, has called on the federal government to focus on inclusive education for Nigerians as a precursor to national development. The chairman steering committee of the body, Kayode Ajiga, made this known in Abuja in commemoration of the 25 years anniversary and reunion of members of the association. In a statement made available to Nisman, Ajiga stated that improving the country's education was a collective responsibility, while charging members of the alumni association to take it upon themselves as their duty in educating a child.
Hence, the need for an inclusive, qualitative, quality, and equitable education for every Nigerian children, regardless of social status, race, gender, religion, and physical ability. Quality and inclusive education is a precursor to economic mobility, growth, and development of any nation. And sadly, we are far from this ideal.
Also, the guest lecturer from the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Joseph Oyambe, said the educational system must return to its old glory, where quality and standard was the order of the day.
You agree with me that the students at that time, maybe because of the lower number, had better attention from their lecturers. The student-lecturer ratio was very adequate. So as a result of that, the students were able to get enough time. Students had enough time to meet their lecturers and ask questions where they did not understand those things that were treated.
And now President Muhammad Buhari has sent the name of Loretha Onoche as the substantive chairman of the Niger Delta Development Commission. The Senate President Ahmed Lawan on Wednesday at the plenary read the nomination letters sent to the Senate by the President, naming 14 others as members of the board. Now Onoche is currently the special advisor on social media to the President. When News Live returns, the Senate Ad Hoc Committee investigating oil thefts and the impacts on the production and nation's revenue says Nigeria has lost $2 billion to oil thefts from January till date. Details of these and more comes to you right after the break. Do stay tuned.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm at the Envoy Hotel, Diplomatic Drive 305, here for a business weekend. It's been an amazing stay. Conference hall and business facilities here are stylish and innovative. The Envoy Hotel is luxury, esoteric, opulent, for ultimate comfort.
Discerning travelers, we are more than just a place to stay. We are an icon of comfort, style, and thoughtful luxury. We are Envoy Hotel.
Two souls came together. Two souls came together. Where am I now?
Tat Fragrance, the new luxury fragrance for men and women.
Welcome back. If it is joining us, this is News Live on Viewer Television. Now let's take a recap of our top stories. President Muhammadu Buhari unveils new Naira notes at Aso Rock. JAM advises against indecent dressing. Plus, 10 feared in Walmart shooting. Now, the Senate Ad Hoc Committee investigating oil theft and the impact on the production and nation's revenue says Nigeria has lost $2 billion to oil theft from January till date, and this theft occurs offshore. Nigerian's crude oil production fell from 2.13 million barrels per day in January 2020 to 1.38 million in January 2022. Incessant oil theft and pipeline vandalism has been blamed for this. This ad hoc committee investigating this situation has recommended that online monitoring systems be deployed at flow stations and terminals to check movement of illegal vessels.
It's been hanging over the past 7 months or 8 months. This lack system, because they've gotten the president's approval to deploy lack system in all the terminal. We must be able to say how much do we produce and not waiting for an oil company to say this is what I produce. That's what's happening all over the world.
The chairman of the ad hoc committee also raised concerns about the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited not allowing agencies to perform their regulatory functions and clear disregard to the provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act. And on curbing insecurity, the Nigerian Senate has considered a bill seeking to upgrade the existing mobile forces training camp in Monkara, Borno State to a Special Forces Training Academy. The bill was titled A Bill for an Act to establish the Nigerian Police Special Forces and the Nigerian Police Special Forces Training Schools and its Governing Council and for other related matters therewith. 2022. The report.
A piece of legislation sponsored by Senator Ali Ndume scaled through second reading on the floor of the Senate during Tuesday's plenary. Senator Ndume in his lead debate said there is no Special Forces Training Center at the moment to match the current security challenges in the country. Ndume noted that though the existing training camp is an idea of the Nigerian Police Force, it is not backed by law. As such, there is need for a special training school with appropriate legislation.
There is mobile training camp in Limankara established 34 to 40 years back, which is known as a training center for mobile police. And we felt that there is no special forces training center in this country. And there is the need, especially now, where we face various forms of challenges, to have an institution or academy where special forces, not only of the Nigerian police, but other security agencies can be used to train special forces.
In supporting the passage of the bill, a cross-section of lawmakers said the Nigerian police deserves all the support that is needed in order to improve the security architecture of the country.
Mr. President, many people accuse the police for so many wrongs. Why? It is due to the fact that there are no enough professional institutions to train the Nigerian police. I think, Mr. President, that this bill deserves the support of all of us and all other requests that will make the Nigerian police to be effective.
This is normal routine duty of police. The DSS are there. The NIA is there. The DMI, all of them. All this is repeated here are all in that place. But if this is for the purposes of to sponsor election for because of these election purposes, well, we might allow it for the second reading.
A lot has been said about the need to improve the security architecture of this country, and nothing can be too much to do, given the existential threat that security has posed for our country.
After consideration, the bill was referred to the Committee on Police Affairs. The committee is given 4 weeks to report back.
A bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Police Special Forces and the Nigerian Police Special Force Training School and its governing council and for other related matters therewith 2022. Second reading taken. The bill is referred to the Committee on Police Affairs to report back in 4 weeks.
Meanwhile, a bill seeking to establish the Nigerian Agricultural Harvest and Processing Free Zone at Tangayi in Benue State, sponsored by Senator Abba Moro, also passed through second reading.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, may I remind us that Nigeria is a nation with a large tract of arable land and relatively cheap labor, and should ordinarily be able to feed itself sufficiently with excess for export. Sadly, Nigeria is a gross importer of food and agricultural products with a high inflation rate